A German scientist was studying frogs, and boy, my arm's tired. I went to my doctor and I said, hey doc, it hurts when I do that. And he said, take my wife, please. You ever notice how airplane food is packaged? I've noticed that. What's the deal with, like, you know, premise-based comedy? Am I right? Knock, knock. Well, you probably figured it out based on the title of this video, but today what we're going to be doing is we're going to be taking this this home improvement center type of brick paneling, just the cheap, it's 25 bucks a sheet stuff, and we're going to change it completely. We're going to change the mortar color, and we're going to change the brick palette. So all that's going to be different, and we're doing that because this stuff looks like a bad barbecue shack. I can't stand this color brick with this black mortar. It looks terrible. Everybody hates it. It looks like what it is, and I see this stuff get used quite a bit. And there are a couple of different faux techniques that I'd like to teach you. One of them is called a German schmear, which looks like this, and that is a mixture of plaster and paint. This time, I'm going to do a total faux job to change the color of the bricks, change the color of the mortar, and make it much more desirable and cool and old looking. I've selected this as my mortar color. I'm going to spray that over the entire wall. And then these three colors here are going to be our brick faux palette. I can mix these colors, I can mix them on individual bricks, I can do lots of stuff with it. So it's a mixture of all this stuff, and I'm not using glazes, I'm using straight latex paint. So this is quick, dirty. This is for a TV commercial that shoots next week. And so all these walls will go in, it's gonna be an exterior cafe, the outside of a cafe set. And so it only makes sense to make it look like it's an exterior, and this stuff does not look like an exterior. You'll notice that I'm spraying down on the wall here. What I'm actually trying to do is leave a bit of a dark shadow beneath each brick, and that gives us a little bit more depth. So that may or may not work out, but it's just an attempt to create more depth. This set actually has extension pieces on it that are going to be painted a dark charcoal color. That's just part of the whole set, but I'm going to use that color for the next step. I've taken my remnants of this charcoal colored paint that we're using for the trim, and what I'm going to do is every one of these bricks, or just about every one of them, has chips in it. And what I want to do is accent those chips, because I'm going to be dragging and dry brushing later on, but I want those to appear dark or some of their other color. Some of them can just stay the mortar color, that'll be fine. But primarily what I want to do is do something to highlight that, and I can just wipe it with my hand. That's all I need. But I'm going to go over probably about 80% of these bricks and do something like that in order to bring out that dimensionality. So you can see where that low spot is right there. And that way when I come back and do dry brushing later on, we can hit all the high spots and also some dragging and stuff. We're going to do a couple of different techniques. But we'll be able to see that, and it'll make the brick appear more dimensional. Because we're using this charcoal paint as basically a wash, I've thinned it 50-50 with water. Of the three colors that I selected, I'm going to go, this is my primary color. That's the general cast that I want the wall to be. That's where I'm going to go next. This is a 6-inch foam roller. You could also use a rubber roller, like a printmaking roller, an inking roller. But this works fine, and you can get this from the home improvement shop, so let's just do that. I'm not using a regular paint tray. Because it's got those ridges or bumps or something like that, and those little things that are made to kind of help you distribute paint, that would actually leave marks on the wall. You'd see it. So I'm just using the bottom of a storage container, and I can wipe this out and change colors as much as I want. Load the roller up sparingly. I don't want it dripping. I don't want too much on there. This is just a nice thin layer of paint on the outside. And the most important thing is you do not go up and down or crossways with it. It's a 45-degree angle, just like you're squeegeeing grout, because that way the roller won't fall into the mortar lines. And that way I can just do this and it'll just kiss the top of my bricks and leave my mortar alone. I will get some paint where the mortar should be. I'll come back with a brush, or even, honestly, I'll probably use an airbrush to fix that, but that's not an issue. And you can see here why we did that dark color first in those deep spots, because now it's left behind and it's accented. It makes the brick appear even more dimensional than it is. Okay, so after this step, this is what we get. And the beautiful thing about this, and the thing that we really want from this, is that it's not completely uniform. Don't paint it so well that it ends up being really homogeneous, because that's not how brick works. So it's about this irregularity. Little things like this we'll touch up after the fact. Some of the mortar is going to end up getting into crevices and getting on the surface of the brick, and that is to be wiped off. But that leaves mortar in the crevices, which in some of this, which is exactly what we want. What we're actually going to do next is I'm going to do a dry brush technique, but I'm going to do it with a roller. I'm going to do it with the same type of roller we used before. So it's a high density foam 6-inch roller, and the trick is that if you think that I loaded the roller lightly for this, well, I'll show you how lightly I'm going to load it for the next step. So I'm using the same storage container as I used before. I've got a little bit of paint in here, and I've got it set up at a high angle because I want it all to drain to the bottom. I want this to stay relatively dry. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to load this roller as lightly as I did before, but with an additional step. So I've got most of the surface. There's no liquid visible on the surface. It's as dry as I can load it. But then before I do anything else, just like if I was doing dry brushing, what I'm going to do is, and we'll pull back, I've got just a piece of scrap here. This could be craft paper. This could be anything. I've got lots of strip wood like this in the paint room because we use it to hold things up and do stuff with. What I'm going to do is unload this to the point where I start getting that ghost that I got when I started running out of stuff over here, to leave indications of this color on about 80% of the bricks. But I'll only do a maximum of 20% of that color on any particular brick. We don't want to have red bricks in this thing. We just want to have little indications of that color as we go. All right, we are reaching the end, or nearing the end. We're not quite there yet. But our next color is going to be this green, which might seem a little bit counterintuitive, but there's lots of little kisses of different color in bricks. And I just picked these out based on sort of a mental palette that I had. Again, you can choose whatever colors you want, but we will list all the colors we're using in the description. And once you get them in your hands, you'll realize, oh, this is for that, this is for this, and you'll know what all the colors are. So there you go. Oh yeah, and one other thing. This guy is very sparing, so we're just gonna tickle him here and there. It's not gonna be, we're not gonna do an almost every brick kiss like we did with the last color. This one is just going to be little spots here and there, little la la. Again, sneak up on it. You can't go backwards, but you can always go forwards really slowly and sneakily. It's a good idea. This is a combination. It can really serve two purposes. Part of it is that it looks like it's just another color in the palette of the brick. Another way to look at it is it's that old moss sort of growing in the brick. This wall is actually going to be disassembled and reassembled on set, and as such, I'm waiting to dress the seams until that's done, and there will be vine attached to this wall after that happens. These are pounce bags. I get these from Manhattan Wardrobe Supply. This one's still in the bag, well, in another bag, a plastic bag. These are not. This one is red clay, which is a brick color, although it's probably a little bit too vibrant for what I'm trying to do here. This one is sepia, this one is ash. And all I'm going to do is pick out some individual bricks and give them a little extra dust. And pounce bags work well for that. Green. Just makes the brick feel like it's really made of clay. This is really just talc and pigment. So it'll wipe off if you brush it with your hand. But the nice thing about this stuff is this is a step I can undo. I just took a moistened, barely damp paper towel and rubbed that guy out. That's no problem. So I'll just pick out a couple individual bricks and do it this way. Now, one thing is that if I brush up against this, it's going to come off on my clothes. This is for a TV commercial, so that doesn't matter. By the way, you can always skip this step. If you like the way the wall looks as it is, then go ahead and do that. I'm going for something fairly specific, but this is called workable fixative. And basically what it does is it dries flat, it dries clear, and it'll seal that stuff onto the surface so that you can handle it and it won't come off on your hands or your clothes. Unless you do this, you'll never realize that it's not real. I mean, to the eye, it's completely real. Well guys, I hope you really enjoyed watching me sweat this much on camera. This is an actual tutorial. We almost never do a step-by-step. It's a fairly quick technique and it looks real, which is what we're looking for. Anyway guys, we'll see you soon with some more weird stuff, which I don't know what it is yet, from Gratuitous Sets. Actually, we're building a giant clock for a Major League Baseball team, so you'll see some of that stuff. Just calm down, don't be bored, it's okay. We have more stuff coming, you'll be fine. Deal. Have some coffee, relax.